Well, if you're a sports fan in Canada, chances are you'll run into ads for sports betting. But many senators want the federal government to hit the stop button on those ads. More than 40 have written the Prime Minister. They're calling for a ban on all advertising for sports gambling apps and websites. Ontario Senator Marty Deacon is a co-author of that letter and joins me now. Senator, good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Andrew.
So let's start here with why exactly are you and your colleagues asking for that ban from the federal government?
Sure. As you know, we have a bill. We have a bill happening parallel and at the same time related to pulling in the reins on advertising. Senators felt very, very strongly that we want to keep this moving and keep pushing this forward as strong as we can with the government, and wanted to really make sure that we were keeping the attention and the seriousness of it. And the consensus was, let's try a full ban. Let's try a full ban with the Prime Minister's letter. That's a little bit different than what we're doing in the legislation.
Now, your letter calls this a public health issue, yes, similar to cigarette advertising. Walk us through that. What exactly is the research saying about the influx of sports gambling that's happening and the effects of that, and in terms of how that relates to the advertising?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question, Andrew. As time has gone on and we have more and more Canadian data, this openness, this proliferation of advertising might be just a distraction for you, a distraction for me, like an annoyance. But for young people, it is becoming really, really, really negative on their own behavior, their mental health, and the development of addictions. We are carrying on the last year or two building much more data on this, particularly youth and particularly young males, sort of 14 to 34. There's a real uptick there, and there is this sort of dopamine rush of betting. I can win again, this is my sports celebrity telling me, and it really becomes a very serious addiction with consequences. And we've also learned each person that's impacted impacts about 7 or 8 people around them.
So how would a ban on ads help fight these trends? Because you even say in your letter that, quote, we cannot legislate away human weakness, and gambling has been around for a long time.
That's right. So if we have a ban or a ban on advertising, that takes away, particularly for that age group, the access, the push in their face, the relentless reminder, the relentless invite, the relentless possibility that isn't really possible. And so we're trying to take that away and see, there's countries that have tried that, and see if it helps us along the way. That's a full ban. And again, to clarify, we have learned different things that can be done from an advertising aspect to reduce the exposure, which is critical right now.
I want to talk to you a bit about the arguments that the gaming industry puts forward on this, because they say, look, fewer kids are watching TV, fewer kids are watching sports on TV, that the number of ads in Canada have been trending down since the single game betting came into place 4 years ago. The Gaming Association of Canada says that the negative response to this advertising is predominantly emotional. So what's your answer to that pushback?
Yeah, and thank you for that. I have met with Gaming Association folks. They're an important part of this conversation and bring important perspective. Our data tells us things that are very, very different. We look at what we take time analysis from games. It could be a hockey playoff, could be a basketball playoff, whatever it is. It tells us the proliferation of ads, the access for these young people. The TV may not be their #1 priority, but in their pocket is a phone, which is now their traveling casino. And that also attracts repeated betting. That's different than when you're getting in the car and driving to a casino.
Okay, I want to ask you about something else the Canadian Gaming Association has said, which is that, look, these ads are already regulated, provinces are overseeing gambling, and that federal action like what you're proposing would just cause more duplication. Ontario, for instance, does have that ban on athletes appearing in ads unless they promote responsible gaming. So why do you think the federal government needs to step in here?
Well, we have a country from coast to coast to coast, and in this environment, when we're looking at something that impedes health the way that we're learning this does, we need a national framework. We need to know that regardless of where you live in Canada, coast to coast to coast, that your health, the vulnerable people are protected. And so we have right now a patchwork. We have parts of the country who get exposure to the ads, but don't live in Ontario. We have different things going on across the country. Some have stuck to their gaming, traditional provincial gaming lotteries, out of protecting health. Why wouldn't we have a common standard like we do in cannabis and tobacco and alcohol?
So what have you heard then? Have you heard anything from the government, from the Prime Minister's office on this, the letter you wrote to them, about whether there's an appetite for this? Because there was one survey last year that found about 60% of Canadians favored an immediate nationwide ban on these commercials. So there does seem to be a public appetite for it, but we haven't seen any action. So what have you heard, and why do you think it's taking this long to actually do something?
So to make sure we have the common understanding in both of these processes, the letter has only been sent in the last 24 hours. And so we will get a response, and we hope to get a response soon. And that we have not received yet. Have we had conversations with different government people, ministers? We're continually talking about this from the government, the House, and in the Senate. That's that piece. The bill, as you probably know, has been approved twice now in the Senate with 100% support, and it's now in the House, and it's had its first reading. So that is also progressing. Those are two things. The goal is to get action as fast as we can, so we're not going through another season of our young people being vulnerable and exposed.
Okay, you mentioned that bill, and I do want to finish up on that legislation because, as you say, it's now gone from the Senate to the House of Commons. What's your sense of what the uptake is going to be among MPs from different parties about actually getting that legislation passed on that side of Parliament?
Well, the bill itself, we've seen so far, is it's a nonpartisan bill. We've had the support, and we hope to see the same thing in the House. Now, we're in interesting times, there's no question, but we hope to see that same support. And the same kind of conversations and consultation and collaboration that happened in the Senate are now beginning in the House. So everybody understands all aspects of this, accurate information, and now we're working together with other countries to get this right in the best way it can be.
Okay, we'll certainly keep watching the story. Senator Marty Deacon, appreciate your time on this.
Thank you very much. Take care.